Okay. Welcome to the Pearl L. Crawford Memorial Library Board of Trustees meeting, Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. We'll start the meeting with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. So I will read Governor Baker's disclosure for public meetings. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's executive orders imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, although a quorum of members of the Crawford Library Board of Trustees will be physically present for this meeting, no in-person attendance of the members of the public will be permitted. The meeting will be live broadcast on Dudley Cable Access Television, Channel 192, and members of the public can also access the rebroadcast of the meeting online via YouTube. In the event of an unanticipated interruption in this broadcast, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Members of the public who wish to appear before the Crawford Library Board of Trustees must make an appointment to appear on an upcoming agenda by contacting the library director at pearl@cwmars.org or by calling 508-949-8021. Placement on the agenda is not guaranteed, however, and persons requesting to appear before the Crawford Library Board of Trustees should not attend a meeting in person unless and until the appointment has been confirmed by the Crawford Library Board of Trustees. Persons with matters appearing on a meeting agenda may request that they attend via virtual means, such as via conference call rather than via in person. Such a request should be directed to no less than 3 business days, hours in advance, so that the appropriate arrangements can be made. However, persons or representatives with matters appearing on the meeting notice and agenda who wish to be physically present at the meeting must observe the following requirements. In accordance with existing requirements imposed by the governor, meeting rooms will be limited to a terms of the total number of persons that may physically be present at that same time, including the board and members and staff. Satellite rooms will be available for overflow, and the meeting will be broadcast in real time in those satellite rooms. Persons who wish to participate in any particular matter on the meeting agenda will be asked to wait in a satellite room until the agenda item is reached, at which point attendees will be rotated between the main meeting room and the satellite room as appropriate. Social distancing must be maintained in both the main meeting room and in the satellite rooms. Face masks or coverings will be required in accordance with Governor Baker's May 1st COVID-19 order, requiring face coverings in public places where social distancing is not possible. A copy of that order can be found at www.mass.gov. Failure to comply with these requirements may lead to an attendee's removal from the meeting. Our first order on the meeting is a review of meeting minutes from August 25th, 2020.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second. Okay. Everyone's in agreement? Okay, so.
All in favor?
Say that again?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the next one is the director's report, programs, budgets, and facility.
So programs, we're continuing with our Storytime Live on Wednesdays, and we're seeing those numbers going up, the people who are able to participate in that or watch that as it's live as opposed to viewing later on. But we are getting several hundred views of those videos within 2 days of them being posted.
Nice.
So we're glad to know that we're reaching a number of people. We've also started doing craft kits that tie in with the theme of whatever story time is. So those go out on a cart after story time every week, and those have been moving fairly steadily. So we're glad we can kind of give kids something to, the little ones, something fun to do.
And leader announces that?
Yes.
That they'll
Yep.
be, yep.
Yeah. We are working with the genealogy group to try and do a program via Zoom for their December meeting. We haven't quite figured out how that's going to work yet, but we're working on making it happen. I'm talking to the presenter and trying to figure out how the best way to arrange that for them is. But so we might manage to have a genealogy program in December. If you watch our Facebook page or you've seen on our website, the town normally does its big Halloween shindig. Obviously, that's not happening this year, so the library is partnering with the town to do a Scarecrow Contest. So Lita and I were, as Joyce knows, we were outside today trying to figure out where to put our scarecrow and how to make our scarecrow sit up and do what we want it to do. And folks who are interested can get the registration form for that contest from either the town website or our website or our Facebook page. Come by the library during curbside pickup hours this coming week to register. We should have goodie bags for any kids in the families of folks who are registering. And then take a picture of your scarecrow and send it to the pearl@cwmars.org email address, and they'll be judging and prizes. And it should be a lot of fun. We've gotten a good response so far from people who are interested.
I think it's great. I love
And
that
we're also
idea.
encouraging local businesses to participate, so we're hoping that we'll get some, I personally thought that the highway department should have one driving a snowplow. The police department could have one in a cruiser kind of thing. But it should be fun, so we'll be doing that. If you're come to curbside pickup next week, you'll see Lita outside. She's taken on sitting outside with a space heater to take the registrations, and then we'll be going through all the pictures and making sure they're posted and so on. So as far as budget, we are in good shape. As always, we are buying books, and there's some line items that we're not spending as much this year because we're not doing some of the programs and things that we normally would be. But we're in good shape budget-wise. And facility report, the only thing, I have a call into Fran from House because the system, so for those of you who are new to the board, we have two HVAC contractors. We have the actual mechanical people and then the people who control the computer. So like the IT people for the HVAC. And the computer part is not quite talking correctly with the mechanical part. So I had talked to Fran, who's our person who deals with that, this morning, and he is going to try to remote into the system tonight or tomorrow, and he thinks he knows what the issue is, so he's just gonna try to do a quick fix. But you can tell the system's trying to heat,
Yeah.
but it hasn't quite gotten the message.
So is the heat working?
The mechanical part is fine. It's the controller, the computer piece that tells it what to do that is, like I said, Fran thinks he knows what the issue is, so hopefully we'll be able to remote in and fix that without any issue. And as always, I do appreciate that I shoot him an email and my phone rings, 10 minutes later with him going, "Hi, I'm wherever in creation he is today. What's up?" But yeah, so the building is still standing.
So I have a question about facilities. Last month you had talked to us about an alarm going off for lights.
Yes. So as I believe I said, yes, in here, Neil Piasta came by to look at the problem,
Yeah.
figured out what the issue is, and ordered the part.
Okay. So it hasn't been fixed
It
yet?
hasn't been replaced yet, but he did whatever he needed to do to stop the alarm going off.
Oh, thank goodness.
There is no longer
Yeah.
any weird beeping from the back room. And he said that 4 years ago, he had to do the same repair for another one of the emergency lights. So he looked at it and went, "Yep, that same thing," and so he said as soon as it came in, he would come do that, but it seemed like it was gonna be a quick swap. Just pull one out, put the new one in, and we'd be good to go.
Great. So, any questions for any of that? Okay. Moving on, municipal appropriation requirement waiver.
So because of the way that the state does its statistical report that we turn in, and the statistics that we have to meet are purely for the previous fiscal year, but the budgetary, the piece, that the money piece that we just turned in, deals with both the previous fiscal year and what the town has allocated for the fiscal year that we're currently in. And because the way that the budget was set at the town meeting back in May, we do have to apply for a waiver. The state mandates that our budget must increase by 2.5% every year. Instead, it was cut by about 10%. So we do have to go through the waiver process. That involves Debbie, the town accountant, has to fill out some paperwork, which she actually just got back to me. I have to write a letter, Joyce has to write a letter, and John Ruda has to write a letter saying, you know, this is what happened, this is why we're in this situation. And then sometime, it's usually in January, but they're anticipating so many people are gonna be applying for waivers that it might not be till February or March. John Ruda and I are expected to attend a meeting of the Mass Board of Library Commissioners to say basically the same thing we say in a letter, which is that due to financial hardships in the town, our budget was cut, and to formally request the waiver.
When I read the waiver process and what Debbie filled out for you, when I read part of it, so the net, it comes down to the net difference being more, if it's more than 5%, you would have to attend that meeting, but our net difference is less than 5%.
They
It's
are
just over
actually
2.
saying this year that they are expecting everyone to attend, that they would like everyone to plan to be there.
Okay.
It is at the discretion of the Board of Library Commissioners whether
Right.
you actually have to attend, but they told us in the training for everyone who, because we're all going, we've never had to fill out a waiver before, how do we do this? And so we all attended, and they said that they would like everyone to plan to attend that. I think, again, because they're looking at a sheer volume of people having to apply,
Right.
that they want you to plan to be part of the whole process. So we are, and we, one of the criteria, which might be a problem for us, is that the cut to the library cannot be greater than the overall cut to the municipal budget. The overall cut to the municipal budget is about 8%. The cut to the library budget is 10%. So we are potentially looking at some difficulties there. It depends on how stringent they're being, and again, with the sheer number of people applying for waivers, they may feel they have to be stringent just because they want to make sure that people aren't trying to
Right.
skate. So
I
that's,
just feel this year with COVID-19.
yeah, but that's where, you know, that this is something that is in the
So
state.
different than normal.
You know, it's a statute. It's not something necessarily that they can decide whether, there are some pieces of the statutes that they can decide whether or not to, you know, to enforce, but
Yeah.
this one is hard and fast in there, so. So we'll see, but I know Joyce is working on her letter.
Yes, I am.
I have.
Short and sweet is what you said, right?
Yeah, short and sweet.
Okay.
That's how mine is. The one that's gonna have to be a little bit longer is the one from John Ruda, because he needs to explain the overall town. Basically, what Joyce and I both have to say is, we went through the regular budget process, we requested a budget amount that was in compliance with the municipal appropriation requirement. Unfortunately, the town was forced to cut budgets, and therefore we won't meet it. That's basically all we have to say, is that we did our part to the best of our ability. But it's John Ruda has to go into a little bit more detail with, you know, exactly what the town is looking at for financial situations, so. But hopefully, I know Joyce and I are meeting with John Ruda and Debbie Thursday, and so hopefully we'll have those letters in our packet ready to submit by the beginning of next week. That's kind of my hope, is to get everything in let's get it done, not have to worry about it. And that also gives the Board of Library Commissioners staff chance to look at it and come back to me, and if they see anything that we could add as like supplemental materials to bolster our case. That's one of the things they do when you submit your packet, so I'd like to give them more time to do that.
Okay. Next part is town meeting warrant articles.
So the town meeting is scheduled, so fall town meeting is scheduled for October 19th. So I got an email from John Ruda, well, all department heads did. Fall town meeting has been set for October 19th, 2020. As you recall, we have been and remain under local restrictions that are limited to essential spending on public health and safety expenses. Most budgets have been set for the year, with the exception of public health and safety, including highway. Please look at your budgets for the remaining 3 quarters of fiscal year 21 to ensure that you are sufficiently funded in a manner required to maintain operations and obligations through June 30th. If you require additional money to operate within the existed or forecasting COVID restrictions, please let me know at your earliest convenience. There will likely be no spending articles recommended in the fall unless otherwise and previously agreed upon. If you need something, please don't hesitate to ask, and in any event, I'd like to hear from each department relative to the overall condition of their budget through June 30th. So we, in order to meet our state mandated service hours, we have to have the staff back, basically. We have to have the staff back at their full hours, which means that that is a difference between what we requested, what we need for that, and what is currently in the budget. It's a difference of about $44,000. So we need to request, because the budget was voted on by the town, it can't be changed. The amount allocated to us cannot be changed without a vote, so we need to put the warrant article in so that it can go to town meeting, so that we can hopefully get that funding back so that we can meet our service hours. So I would like to ask the board, I already went ahead and typed up the warrant article because we were told to get it in by tomorrow. So it's like, type it up, get it signed. But I would like to ask the board to vote to submit a warrant request.
So before we do that, so was he asking for you to chat with him before you submitted a warrant article? That's the way I understood when you just read that.
He wants us all to check in over the next month or so. But he and I mean, he's aware of the fact. We have spoken to him. He's aware of the fact that we cannot open to the public without having staff back.
Okay.
And he's also aware of the fact that we have state mandated service hours that we have to meet. So he is aware of the fact that we are way behind on what we need to meet our departmental obligations.
Not meeting it would jeopardize our certification.
And
Yes.
that was discussed today.
Yeah, so we are, the state is willing to give people a little bit of wiggle room to get up to your required service hours, but they're not gonna let us go to June 30th doing curbside pickup 3 days a week. That's just not gonna happen.
But isn't it we're waiting for the governor to put us into phase 4?
No, libraries look at Webster. Libraries, you can
Oh, I
have.
thought for some reason we were the
No.
next phase.
You can have people in your library right now. You
Okay.
can, so like I said, they're willing to give us a little bit of wiggle room to get up to speed, but
Yep.
we're not gonna be able to say,
Right.
well, we didn't have the funding, so we just did curbside pickup 3 days a week for the rest of the
Can
year.
you explain for new people what that means, not meeting
Certification.
service hours? Just explain a little more what that
So
is all
the
about.
state board of, it's one of the statutes that libraries have to meet. The State Board of Library Commissioners sets the minimum number of required service hours for public libraries, and it happens to be by population. We are right on the edge between two. It's 12,000 is the cutoff, and we are like 400 people short of 12,000. So traditionally, our hours have always been as though we had 12,000 people. The issue is that once you've gone up to that many hours, to that level, which is 48 hours a week, they're really not very fond of people saying, well, we backed up. to the next level down. But there are specific mandates for how many hours we have to be open. And that means fully open to the public being in the building.
So how many hours were we open prior to all this?
48.
Okay. So we were
48
open to
hours a
48,
week.
and that's what's required.
The level up to 12,000 is actually 40 hours a week.
Okay.
But we have, as I said, we've always done the 48 hours a week.
Okay.
I think pretty much since the new building was built, so
Yeah.
we need to try to maintain that, and again, even if it takes us a little bit to ramp up to those full hours, which I know it did for several other libraries in the area, we at least need to be able to have a plan to get there.
Mhm.
And if we could go further with the, what happens if your library is not certified? Essentially, you can't access any services, interlibrary loans. You can only take out the books that are currently existing in our library.
So our patrons would not be able to go to Webster, for example. If we are decertified, the Webster Library is no longer, we would become strictly standalone.
And prior to that, we would lose state funding.
We would also
We would
lose
also
state
lose
funding, yes. So it starts with losing state funding, and then the next step is decertification, which puts your library essentially completely on its own. You don't get delivery, you can't do interlibrary loan. Our patrons would no longer be able to go to Webster or to Oxford or, Sturbridge, which I know a lot of them do. So it's a big blow.
And ultimately, they can come back at us for the loan money to build that place.
Only if we close less
Only
than
if
20
we-
years.
Yeah, if we close, but
We
what
close
they,
less than 20.
one of the other things is that we would lose our ability, and, right now, today, I'm not planning on applying for a state or federal grant for the library in the next year, but who knows, in 2 years, I might want to. And once we are decertified, we lose any
Yeah.
ability to apply for grant funding at the state or federal level. So it's a major,
Right.
that cuts us off from a lot of funding. And it also means that, because we wouldn't be part of the consortium, so right now, our consortium provides, so they apply for grant funding on behalf of all 140 libraries. Well, we would lose that piece.
Right.
They write, so for example, some of the ebook content that became available during the pandemic when everybody was shut down, that was grant funded.
Yep.
Well, we wouldn't have access to that. That would, that would be for everybody else, but our patrons would not have the
Yep.
ability to access that. So it's a pretty big,
Right.
and there was one, when I started here, there was one library that was decertified, and they have just gained their certification back as of July 1st, and that director was like, it's really hard, especially since we're able to provide so many resources by calling on the other libraries in the state to share things, and to suddenly be like, sorry,
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
Yep. All right, so back to the warrant.
Could you read the warrant?
Sure, so it's the boilerplate. It says, "Dear Board of Selectmen and Mr. Ruda, the Library Board of Trustees and I respectfully submit the following article to be placed on the October 2020 Annual Town Meeting warrant. Article XX, because they have to assign the number, to see if the town will vote to raise, appropriate, borrow, or transfer the sum of $44,000 to the library operating expenses account number 00016105700002, or take any other action relative thereto. These funds are necessary to restore the library staff line items in the budget, including custodial services, so the library can open to the public and meet its state-mandated service hours for the remainder of fiscal year '21. Thank you for your consideration," and it would be signed by both Joyce and myself.
So do we need to make a someone to accept the motion?
I make a motion, may I see that to get wording? Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to submit the following article to be placed on the October 2020 Annual Town Meeting warrant. Article XX to be filled in on the library, to see if the town will vote to raise, appropriate, borrow, or transfer the sum of $44,000 to to the library operating expenses account or take any other action relative thereto.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
And I, if after the meeting Joyce signs, I will go drop it in the selectman's box, and we'll have that taken care of. It'll be on their desk first thing in the morning.
You're gonna need people at that,
Yes, yeah.
and I gotta tell you, I just swore off going to them ever again.
Well, you're on the board now, so.
Right. They're a nightmare to begin with. The acoustics are horrific.
Oh,
The sound system is lousy.
You know, at the
And-
very least, you know, we need people either to attend or to
Right.
contact the selectmen
But
in
we need
advance.
to have a presentation. People come up to the microphone and really explain what we need, because you can't trust the Board of Selectmen to do it for you, or anybody else, and it has to be clear to people sitting in that audience. Can't be muddled, because otherwise it'll just be, I don't know what it is, and they'll click you down instead of up.
But we, you know, if there are individuals watching or on the board who are unable to attend, you know, contact the selectmen and make sure that they understand. Department heads are attending a meeting in the first week in October so that we can all sort of discuss any of the articles, and I'm pretty sure there's a couple coming, like from the police department and so on, so that we'll all be on the same page, but we're not voting, so.
Well, yeah.
You know, like I can't vote, I'm not a Dudley resident, so.
Well, at that point, we can send a note out to the Friends.
Yep. Yeah, and we will put something, I think, on the library's Facebook page just before saying, you know, please don't
Really
forget to
encourage
attend.
them to get
and-
there.
Actually, we could explain decertification on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and so we can, you know, this is not, I personally do not want to be the director of a decertified library, because it
Right.
doesn't seem like a lot of fun.
no. And we can put out something on our sign
Yep,
about the.
yeah, and we usually do say, you know, please vote at the town meetings,
Yeah.
so.
How about flyers to hand out there?
You usually can't, I don't
We-
think.
We're not allowed to?
Yeah, we can't hand anything out like at the meeting.
Okay.
But yeah, go talk to all your friends. You can waylay everyone as
Or
they go
something at Park and
inside.
Shop in advance
Well,
or something?
there is the Webster Times too.
Yep.
As a possibility.
Yeah, well, I know
to
that
get
the
an
Webster
article
Times is
out.
usually good about listening to these meetings, and so hopefully they'll pick up on that, but I can
I hope so.
email him as well. But yeah, you know, there's really no way that we're gonna meet our requirement if we don't have
have a very
funding.
loyal library patron community. They've shown that by the way
Yes.
they've contacted us and trustees, and I'm still getting calls, as a matter of fact. So I hope they will come out and support us.
Yes. All
And
right.
if we get the money, can you actually pull back the waiver? Can you withdraw
No,
the waiver?
because the town meeting is not until after the waiver due date, request due date.
Right.
So because the funding would not be voted on until after we had to tell them we were applying for a waiver. But what I think I can do is we could then contact the Board of Library Commissioners and say, we're still technically going to need a waiver because of what was in place when the report was due. But, hey, look, we've
Yeah.
gotten the money back, which would mean that we would pretty much be guaranteed to, you know, take the waiver, you're fine, and then we'd be in good shape
Well,
for
the
next year.
waiver, I thought, was due November 6th. The town meeting is October 19th.
We have to tell them that we're applying for a waiver by, I think it's October 5th.
Oh,
So I already had to go and tell them that we were applying, I already did, actually. It was like, we're applying for a waiver. So it's because of timing.
Okay.
It's when we have to tell them we're applying for a waiver versus when all of the paperwork doesn't have to be in until later.
till
but-
then, yeah, okay.
Priscilla, could you send me a copy of that so I can put it into the minutes? I mean, just email it to me. You mean I have to retype it? Oh, come on.
She wants to copy and paste,
She's
easy.
just, okay, I will do
Easy.
that.
I'm not that good a typist, I admit.
You don't want to try to type all the account numbers
All
and
those
whatever?
numbers. Ay, ay, ay. All right, so we voted on that.
Yep.
Okay. Update on curbside pickup?
It is, the first week or two was pretty slow, I think, as the word got out, but we are seeing more and more people, especially Thursday, because we're the only library
Oh,
offering
I'm so
it
happy that you,
as
that's
an
great.
evening, which
Yep.
is one reason I wanted to do at least one evening. And, today we got our delivery in, and Lita and I were joking that there's nothing for us to shelve because everything coming in is holds for people to pick up. So we're like, oh, look,
Nice.
we don't have to shelve anything. This is great. It's all going out to other people. And we're getting, calls. I think I answered 4 or 5 today, that were, okay, if I need to update my password so I can place books on hold. I've gotten a couple that were, this is what I like to read. Do you have any recommendations for things I might like? So we're getting a lot of calls about it, which is good. Like I
That's
said,
actually what I've recommended to some of the families that I work with, is to call and just tell them the genre.
Oh, yeah,
Tell them that,
and-
you want farm animals, or you want colors and shapes, and then they'll pick out things for you.
Yes, and we even had one of our longtime patrons, who we had been a bit worried about because her health is not the best, and we were delighted to see her at curbside pickup last week. But she said, she requested her like 2 books, and she said, well, I don't know, but she said to one of the staff members on the phone, you know what I like. And so that particular staff member went trotting around the library and pulled 4 or 5 things for her. And, so we're happy to do that. If someone we've had one call because his son had a school assignment, and, Lita went and pulled several age-appropriate books on the subject. So we're happy to do that. But yeah, it's, I think the word is getting out, and people are starting to realize that they can.
Now, is there any data that you have to collect to submit?
We do have to
that?
request, so, as always, we have to record how many people use.
Yep.
So it's actually, we normally do a gate count every day.
Yep.
Well, now we're doing a number of people who pick up items a
Okay.
day. So there's a clipboard that has been repurposed from one to the other. So we count everyone who comes in, and then we will look at how many items were put on hold and so on, but fortunately, that's all integral to Evergreen. I can just pull that out of the software when the time comes. How many items did we check out during the dates that we were open for curbside pickup?
Yep. Will you be able to supply that to us maybe down the road?
It'll be part of the statistical report that I do every year.
Oh, I was talking before that. I didn't want to wait a year for that information.
It's part of our annual report, but, we are, I think on Monday Monday was a bit slow. We had maybe, I think 14 or 15 came, but last Thursday we had 20-some.
Nice.
Which is enough that by the time you've got somebody going to get the items and somebody, we felt like we were running, which is good.
Yeah.
We've been getting our steps in, running into the
I
stacks
bet.
and pulling things, and then someone will come out and say, I know this book is there, but I can't find it. Someone else goes and looks for it, and, so. But yeah, the numbers are steadily ticking up, and like I said, Thursday evenings are definitely going to be, I think, our most popular time.
Yep. Well, I'm happy we're offering the nighttime service, so. All right, moving on. Online library assistance for patrons. Pat, did you want to
Yeah,
talk to that?
That was, some of the calls I've gotten were from folks who don't necessarily use their computers and weren't quite sure how to work that curbside pickup thing.
Okay.
Is there a little something we can put, I don't know if CW Mars has any tutorials about using the catalog, for example. That could be-
I believe they do. I can
Maybe
look.
some links could be put
But we do
on.
have many people who just call us and say, hi, can you put this on hold?
Yeah, and that's-
we're
that's
happy
what
to
I've
do that.
said.
Call us during the curbside pickup hours, and we are more than happy to put things on hold, or,
Yeah. Yeah, there's-
and we
there's
also
some like this.
regularly, at least a couple of times a day, Lita and I particularly, will sit and walk somebody through on the phone. Okay, now click on this. Okay, now
So
type
would it be
this.
easier to create a little video of you or Lita doing it? So they could see
wondered if
what,
I wondered if
what you're doing and you put it
CWMR
on
said something.
Facebook?
Yeah, the issue we're having is that a lot of these people who are calling us for assistance aren't even on Facebook. So to make something available, you know, to give them a technological solution for how to use technology is not as helpful as it could be, which is why we're doing a lot of walking people through
Okay.
in person. But we can,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
know.
I'll look at what CWMARS has.
I know Libby has a good instruction video walkthrough for using that. I'm guessing Overdrive may too, but I tend to use Libby more.
Yeah, well, Overdrive is trying to phase out Overdrive and get everybody to use Libby.
Okay.
So they're trying to kind of move everyone to that app.
Spend time with it. Yeah, I noticed when I put something on hold on Overdrive, it shifted it over to Libby's.
Yeah, they've, of course, they've been saying for at least a year that they're going to do that any time now, and they haven't quite gotten there, but they're working on
Yeah,
it, so.
okay.
And we have also been, if you are on the Facebook page, you'll notice that I'm trying to do, pictures of the new titles that come in and the new DVDs and so on, so that people who maybe don't know what they want, be like, oh, there's a new, you know, James Patterson. Actually, there are like 7 new James Pattersons, but, can see what's there, so.
And that's true on the homepage of the library website.
Yes, Wowbrary is now back up, so it tells you what new titles we've
Right.
gotten in as well. There's a rotating display.
Nice.
Finally got that. Well, of course, we'd had no new titles, so I actually got a call from them in around June going, you don't have any new titles? So, and I was like, no, we don't. So we finally got that hooked back up again and doing its thing.
All right. Board members' comments and observations? Anyone?
You guys have been
Like
really
to say
working hard,
thank
doing a
you
great job
again
behind the
for-
scenes.
Keeping things going at the library, you know. And nice to talk to a few of the new voices that are back.
It's very exciting. Lita, on the days that staff are back, Lita and I are like, there are other people. It's so exciting.
And I have to say, Patty talking through a mask sounded just like you when I called the other day. I said, hi, Drusilla. She said, no, this is Patty.
Yeah,
I said,
no,
"I'm
we've
talking through
actually,
my mask."
we've had a couple of patrons call and say, which one is this? To tell them who it is.
Yeah, I was wondering if they could answer saying, hi, this is,
I mean, I usually do if I pick
Yeah.
up my line, I say it's Drusilla, but out on the circulation desk, I think they just grab. And everybody's starting to adjust to the fact that you can't just run over and grab the phone. You have to disinfect everything in
Yeah.
between, and
you know.
still very strange.
Okay. Any other board members' comments, observations?
You've been doing a great job behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know all the stuff that goes behind it, so keep up the good work. It's been good so far.
Thank you.
All right, our next meeting will be October 27th at 6:15.
So that, for the public to know, that is after our meeting, town meeting.
Yes.
So pay attention to the bulletin board, the town papers, our website, everything. This is for
Good
the
point.
general public at home.
Very good point.
Please pay attention, because more information about it will be
Yeah.
coming.
Very good point. So this will be the last time that, October 19th, the town meeting is very important for people to attend, make their voices heard. Vote for the library.
Yes, all of the folks that call and say, when are you going to open your doors? And it's, well, please go vote at the town meeting so that we can open as soon as possible.
Okay. I'll accept a motion for,
And make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is over.